In November 1943, Hitler's most dangerous commando had one shot to eliminate Churchill, Stalin, and Roosevelt in the same room. This is Operation Long Jump. For the first time in World War II, the Big Three were meeting face-to-face in Tehran, Iran. 4 days, one location. But German intelligence had already cracked their secret. October 1943. German codebreakers intercept a U.S. Navy message. Time, November 28th. Location, Soviet Embassy, Tehran. Target, all 3 Allied leaders. The man chosen for the mission? SS Obersturmbannführer Otto Skorzeny. This guy had just pulled off the impossible, rescuing Mussolini from a mountain fortress using gliders and pure audacity. Hitler's favorite commando. And now, he had an even bigger target. The Germans knew they'd missed their chance at Casablanca when Roosevelt and Churchill met earlier that year. This time, they wouldn't make the same mistake. Iran had declared neutrality in 1939, but its leadership was openly pro-German. Perfect cover. The country was crawling with German spies, over 400 agents operating in Tehran alone. And they had one mission: get close to the Big Three. Here's what the Germans were planning. A team of elite commandos would parachute into Iran, travel by camel to avoid detection, and set up in a villa near the Soviet embassy. Inside, enough weapons to start a war. Outside, 3 leaders who'd be traveling in open cars through the city. The window? Just 4 days, November 28th to December 1st. If they succeeded, World War II would have ended very differently. Okay, let's pause for a second. What if Operation Long Jump had actually worked? June 6, 1944, D-Day, the largest amphibious invasion in history. Without Churchill pushing the operation forward, cancelled. The British generals were divided. Churchill was the glue, the Eastern Front. Stalin's death would have thrown Soviet command into chaos. His generals couldn't coordinate without him. They were terrified of making decisions. And Roosevelt? His Vice President Harry Truman wasn't even briefed on the Manhattan Project. America's atomic bomb program would have been delayed by months, maybe years. Hitler would have had 6 to 12 months to fortify Fortress Europe before new Allied leadership could reorganize. The war that ended in May 1945 could have dragged into 1947 or ended with a negotiated peace that left the Nazis in power. So, yeah, this wasn't just another assassination plot. This was the assassination plot. But someone was watching. Gevorg Vartanian, 19 years old, Soviet intelligence officer, and he was about to uncover the entire operation. The USSR had its own spy network in Iran, the Soviet Foreign Intelligence Service, led by Agent Ivan Agayants. Their job? Find German spies before they found you. Vartanian had a team of just 7 officers, and they were hunting 400 enemy agents. Here's how they did it. Step 1. Infiltrate German communications. Vartanian's team intercepted radio messages between Tehran and Berlin, recorded them, decoded them. Step 2. Track suspicious arrivals. October 1943. 6 German operatives parachute into Iran, travel by camel, hide in a villa outside Tehran. Step 3. Follow the money and the weapons. Inside the villa, enough explosives and firearms to take out a small army. But Vartanian's best intel came from someone else, Nikolai Kuznetsov, a Soviet spy who'd infiltrated German lines in Ukraine, posing as a Wehrmacht lieutenant named Paul Siebert. He spoke perfect German, looked the part, and one night he got an SS officer drunk. The officer's name was Ulrich von Ortel, and after enough vodka, he started talking about Operation Long Jump. The target, Stalin and Churchill, dead. Roosevelt kidnapped. Force America into a peace agreement. Training location, a special school in Copenhagen. Arrival date, late November. Now here's where this story gets complicated. The Soviets say they stopped the plot, arrested all 400 agents, forced them to send fake radio messages to Berlin saying the mission failed. Skorzeny never showed up. The Big Three stayed safe. Vartanian became a hero, awarded the Gold Star Medal in 1984. But the British and Americans? They didn't believe a word of it. In fact, they thought the entire plot was fake. So for the next few minutes, I'm going to show you both versions of what happened, and you can decide which one makes sense. According to Soviet intelligence, here's the timeline. November 21st. Moscow receives confirmation. German radio announces the Big Three are heading to Tehran. Vartanian's team goes into overdrive. They identify the 6 commandos in the villa, set up surveillance. They intercept this message. Second group arriving, led by Skorzeny himself. Prepare for assault on Embassy District. Stalin is briefed personally. He tells Roosevelt and Churchill, "Your targets. We need to act now." The Soviets make their move, raid the villa, arrest all 6 operatives, but instead of shutting them down, they do something brilliant. They force the captured spies to radio Berlin. Message sent, mission compromised, abort, long jump. Skorzeny, allegedly already in Tehran scouting locations, gets the message and vanishes. November 28th, Roosevelt arrives, the conference begins. For 4 days, the Big Three meet. Plan D-Day, discuss the future of Europe. And not a single incident occurs. Vartanian later said, "We deliberately gave them the opportunity to report failure. We couldn't risk Skorzeny's main force arriving while the leaders were present." The Soviet version? A perfectly executed counterintelligence operation that saved the Grand Alliance. Now let's look at why the British and Americans didn't buy it. Problem number 1, the 400-agent network. Western intelligence claimed that network was destroyed before Tehran was even chosen as the meeting location. If that's true, Germany couldn't have infiltrated Iran again so quickly. Problem number 2, no incidents. During the 4-day conference, Churchill and Roosevelt traveled in open cars at least once, walked through the city on foot. Over 3,000 Soviet troops were guarding Tehran, and nothing happened. Not even a suspicious encounter. Problem number 3, the bugged embassy. Roosevelt was offered lodging at the Soviet embassy, which was known to be bugged. Every word recorded. The British Joint Intelligence Committee concluded the whole thing was a Soviet invention to get Roosevelt under their roof so they could spy on him. Problem number 4, Skorzeny himself. After the war, Skorzeny denied the plan ever existed. He said assassinating Churchill was discussed, but deemed unfeasible and unrelated to Tehran. He also claimed the SS officer, Ulrich von Ortel, never existed, made up by the Soviets. Problem number 5, the timing. The Soviets revealed long jump right when they needed Roosevelt to trust them most. Convenient? Western version? A Cold War disinformation campaign designed to make Stalin look like the hero who saved the Allies. So who's telling the truth? Let's look at what historians believe today. Fact number 1, German intelligence did crack Allied communications regularly. That part's confirmed. Fact number 2, Skorzeny was Hitler's go-to guy for impossible missions. Rescuing Mussolini proved that. Fact number 3, Iran was crawling with Axis spies during the war. Both sides agree on that. Fact number 4, Vartanian and his team were real. Soviet intelligence officers whose service is documented. But here's where it gets murky. There's no German archival evidence of Operation Long Jump. No orders, no communications, no mission files. Of course, the Germans destroyed tons of documents in 1945, so that doesn't prove it didn't exist. Soviet records? Classified until 1984, and even then, released selectively. Modern scholars are split. Some say it's completely plausible. Germany had motive, means, and opportunity. Others say there's not enough hard evidence. It could have been Soviet propaganda. And some land in the middle. Maybe a small plot existed, but the Soviets exaggerated it. Here's what makes this story fascinating beyond the spy games. In 2007, Gevorg Vartanian, the 19-year-old spy who started this whole investigation, met with Winston Churchill's granddaughter. She thanked him personally for saving her grandfather's life. Vartanian died in 2012. To his final day, he insisted every word was true. Meanwhile, Skorzeny lived until 1975, gave multiple interviews, never wavered, long jump never happened. 2 men, 2 stories. Both took their versions to the grave. And in Tehran, a monument stands today at the site of the 1943 conference. It doesn't mention Operation Long Jump, but thousands of Russian tourists visit every year, convinced their spies saved the world. Here's why this matters, whether it was real or not. November 28, 1943. 3 men sat in a room in Tehran. They came from 3 different worlds: capitalism, communism, imperialism. They disagreed on almost everything. After the war, 2 of their countries would become enemies for 50 years. But for 4 days, they agreed on one thing: Hitler had to be stopped. They planned the invasion of France. Set the date, June 6, 1944. They coordinated the final push into Germany. Drew the borders of post-war Europe. 18 months after Tehran, Hitler was dead. The Reich was ashes. Whether 400 German spies were hunting them in those 4 days, or whether Stalin invented the greatest cover story in espionage history to eavesdrop on Roosevelt, the result was the same. They walked in, they planned, they walked out, and the course of history changed. Operation Long Jump. Real or imagined? Success or failure? The truth is probably buried in a Moscow archive or lost to history forever. But sometimes the biggest moments aren't the ones that happened. They're the ones that almost happened. If you want more stories that changed the world, or almost did, hit subscribe. Because history isn't just about what we know, it's about what we'll never know for sure.